This is Health Yeah, your weekly update on what's going on in the health, wellness, and medical world with Monica Robbins.
You've probably heard the old wives' tales. Feed a fever, starve a cold, or eat chicken soup when you're sick. How about an apple a day keeps the doctor away? Do any of these sayings have any truth to them? And can you boost your immune system naturally? Well, that's what we're talking about straight ahead on Prescription for Life. Hello and welcome to Prescription for Life. I'm Monica Robbins. Chances are you've been sick this season or know someone who's sick. And as our friends at KSDK in St. Louis tell us, it's everywhere.
Every year as the calendar flips, doctors at BJC, SSM, and across Illinois start seeing an uptick in sick people.
We go through the holidays, people have a chance to move flu around and other colds and viruses like that as people travel and see each other. And as we get into the new year, we start seeing this sort of surge in transmission.
So we're seeing a little bit of everything.
Flu,
norovirus,
COVID,
RSV.
While COVID cases are down from year to year.
For most people, COVID is not as serious as it was in the beginning of the pandemic.
At the same time, cases of influenza A, RSV, and norovirus are on the rise.
Their immune systems don't have time to recover, so it can be more difficult to get over these illnesses when you have them back to back.
According to medical experts, the quademic is a side effect of some of the preventative measures taken during the peak of the COVID pandemic.
Previous years, because of social distancing and masking, people weren't getting really too sick and their immunity got a little bit less. So now that we're back and we're doing things together, everybody's sharing their germs.
As we return to normal, that's part of this return to normal is building up immunity to things like pertussis and whooping cough.
The good news is there are safe ways to protect yourself beyond washing your hands and covering your cough.
3 of the 4 in the quademic, we do have safe and effective vaccines. I would rather get the vaccine, get the jab in the arm than being off work.
That's why they're asking you not to come to the hospital unless absolutely necessary.
Stay home until you're feeling better. You can treat yourself with over-the-counter medications in most cases, but if you feel like you need medical attention, come in and we'll see you.
We know getting our seasonal shots can be helpful, as well as the basics: washing our hands, avoiding touching your eyes, nose, and mouth, proper cough and sneeze etiquette. But what about boosting your immune system the natural way? 2 big supplements everyone seems to turn to this time of year: vitamin C and zinc. We asked our Verify team to check to see if they actually work.
Zinc is a nutrient found in the body that helps your metabolism and immune system function. People often suggest zinc supplements as an effective cold treatment, claiming they can prevent illness, shorten the duration of a cold, or reduce the severity of your symptoms. Claims like these have led multiple viewers, including Sandra, to ask whether zinc supplements really provide these benefits. So let's verify using these sources. Dr. Payal Kohli, an internist and cardiologist, says most scientists don't believe zinc supplements will help to prevent colds or to substantially shorten their duration. She added that people should be careful about supplementing something that doesn't have proven benefit. Many studies on the effects of zinc on the common cold have been conducted over the years, with mixed results. One study concluded that 80 to 92 milligrams of zinc taken early in the course of a common cold would reduce its duration by about 33%. In other words, a person would feel better more quickly. But another study found no improvement in recovery rates for people who took about the same amount of zinc. And studies that looked at the use of zinc for cold prevention also showed no clear evidence that it works. So we can verify, no. Zinc supplements are not scientifically proven to prevent or treat colds. In fact, the Mayo Clinic warns too much zinc can cause health issues like diarrhea, abdominal cramps, and vomiting. And if zinc supplements are taken for an extended period of time, the Mayo Clinic says it could lead to copper deficiency, which can cause neurological issues such as numbness and weakness in arms and legs. With your Verify, I'm Adiante Till.
When it comes to the common cold, it's a story that's passed through generations. Vitamin C can prevent or cure symptoms, but is it fact or fiction?
Vitamin C is not a silver bullet. It's not going to be magical and get you just over this cold.
Dr. Jesse Bracamonte with Mayo Clinic says that while there's no research proving vitamin C can stop you from getting or feeling sick, there are some studies which suggest it may help relieve symptoms sooner, but only by about 10%. Regardless, he says vitamin C is an important part of health.
It helps collagen formation. It helps tissues heal. It helps protein and muscle form and stay healthy. It helps your immune system work well. So that's what vitamin C does.
It's found in foods like citrus fruits, berries, peppers, tomatoes, and broccoli.
The average orange has about 50 milligrams of vitamin C. So an orange, a strawberry, some of that, just nature's way of getting vitamin C should be enough to sustain you.
If you want to get more vitamin C, Bracamonte says supplements may be helpful, but to see a doctor before taking them.
Too much of anything is not a good thing.
And if you're looking for relief from a cold, you may just need some patience.
I just tell people old-fashioned thyme, rest, chicken soup can also be the best medicine.
Now let's check in with our expert who's on the front lines of infectious diseases of all types. Joining me now is Dr. Amy Edwards, a pediatric infectious disease specialist with Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, a lot to unpack. Cold and flu season. What is the most common question you get this time of year?
This time of year, I have a lot of people asking me, how do I boost my immune system? How do I not get sick? How do I avoid the cold and flu? I get that all the time.
So what do you tell them?
It's funny, I think most of them expect me to give this long, do zinc and vitamin C and blah, 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 and that's all great. But in truth, the best way to boost your immune system is to fundamentally improve the way your immune health is. And I don't think a lot of people think about their immune health. We think about our digestive health and we think about our mental health, but immune health is key to having good immune function so that you can fight all those viruses and bacteria.
So how do you do that?
Back to the basics. So the most important thing is your food. So I don't know if your grandmother or your mother ever said this to you, but you are what you eat. That actually applies to the immune system probably more than almost any other organ in our body, and that includes the GI tract. Your immune system literally is what you eat. And so if you're eating fruits high in minerals and vitamins, that's gonna help your immune system function smoothly and properly. Our immune system loves all those anti-inflammatory properties like in berries, for instance, and things like that. Our immune system just eats that up and uses it in its work. And then the opposite of that is when you have a lot of excess sugar, a lot of processed foods, that sort of thing, it can really irritate the immune system, really put it in like an inflammatory or irritated state, which can, one, make it easier to get sick, but two, make it a little harder to fight that illness when you get sick. And so your immune system really responds really intimately to what you eat.
Now you're talking about a lot of kids.
I am,
and
I have two.
And it's school time.
Yes.
And parents are looking, they're looking and listening to you right now and thinking, wait a minute,
yeah,
I don't have a lot of time.
Oh, I know, absolutely. One of the things that we do in my house is smoothies. We love smoothies. Throw in some strawberries, a banana, some peanut butter. I'll even do some chocolate, like protein powder to make it chocolatey tasting. And my kids get smoothies. My kids ask for smoothies now. We'll freeze smoothies into popsicles. I have all sorts of ways I bribe my kids to get those fruits and vegetables in them because they're really, they're packed with all sorts of things that our immune systems just need and crave and help the immune system function so much better. So yes, you could try to get that zinc, that vitamin C, the vitamin A, the vitamin D. You could make sure there's enough magnesium and manganese. You could make sure that you're getting plenty of coenzyme, Q10. You could make sure you're getting alpha lipoic acid. You could physically go to the store and just buy lists of these things, or you could eat it. That's your choice.
Wow. So when it comes to supplements, what you're saying is why? Because they're expensive.
They are expensive, and the FDA doesn't regulate them. So you actually don't know what you're getting unless you really investigate the company that's making them, look at the data that they publish. You know, do they have outside companies validating, you know, what's actually in their pill, safety data. I mean, how many times have we heard something even on this channel? Oh, they found trace amounts of lead or trace amounts of arsenic, because that quality control just isn't there because it's not FDA regulated. Supplements are wonderful in situations where they're necessary. So I get it. You know, kids have Afrid, kids have, I have a 5-year-old. We just got out of the picky toddler phase. So, you know, I get it. There is a place for supplements in our world, unfortunately. But if you can work with your kids to find ways to get them in, I'll tell you one of the things that I did with my kids to get them to eat vegetables. So my kids, like most kids, they love the sweet fruits, but the vegetables, which can have a slightly more bitter taste to them, aren't quite as sweet. They would not eat them. So we decided to have a crunching contest. Who could make the loudest crunch? So literally, mouth open. I mean, this is not like, don't tell my grandmother, I'm gonna say. And so we'd get like a carrot or broccoli or cauliflower, and we'd like how loud could you make it crunch? And my kids thought it was hilarious. And at the beginning, they may only take like 1 or 2 bites, and even, I'll admit, spit a few out here or there. But over time, because their tongue was constantly tasting it when we would have these crunching contests at dinner, my kids ask for raw carrots now. They ask for raw broccoli. They love, you know, all sorts of vegetables. But we had to slowly get it there with these crunching contests.
I want to go over a couple of things that people might not think about. What's your thoughts on probiotics?
That's a really interesting question that has a very complicated answer and we're not fully done answering it. There's still a lot of research that needs to be done in probiotics. Let me give you a little bit of an example. So they did this study. One of the things that kids struggle with a lot is ear infections, right? So they did this study thinking, what if there's something like the immune system's not coming into balance because of all the antibiotics and all the infections? Like, what if we gave kids probiotics? It turns out that it sort of works, but only in specific patients. So in kids who get recurrent ear infections, so back to back to back to back, you know, those kids who end up with tubes and, you know, it's such a nightmare, probiotics appear to have 0 effect. But in kids who don't have recurrent ear infections, who just get sporadic, every now and then, you know, say once, twice a year, whatever, type ear infections, it turns out you can actually reduce the number of ear infections they get if you put them on probiotics. Have no idea why. Like, when that study came out, we were all like, really? Like like we assumed it was gonna be the back-to-backers that would benefit because all the antibiotics were dysregulating the immune system, and maybe, you know, no, it was the sporadic ones that actually benefited. And so we're not even really sure how to explain that one yet. And is that a benefit that you would only see maybe in kids who don't eat great diets? Because, you know, going back to the you are what you eat, part of that interaction between diet and the immune system comes via the bacteria in our gut. So highly processed, high sugar diets encourage certain types of bacteria population to form in the gut, whereas a high fiber, whole food diet encourages different populations. That whole food, high fiber, fruit and vegetable diet encourages bacteria that tend to help you control inflammation. So they can produce, in fact, some of them actually produce anti-inflammatories themselves. The bacteria themselves produce proteins that are natural anti-inflammatories for our body. And antibiotics, of course, disrupt that population and make it easier for the more inflammatory gut flora. So one hypothesis is, you know, it's not uncommon here in the United States for our kids to eat a highly processed, high sugar diet. So maybe what we're seeing is probiotics can help reduce some of that inflammation that comes along with that unhealthy diet. So is it the probiotic, or actually would a healthy diet also do the same thing? And that still hasn't, that's to be determined. That still hasn't really been looked at very much. And then when you look at GI illness, so the stomach flu, vomiting, diarrhea, gastroenteritis, that sort of stuff, it's very clear that probiotics help that. It's very clear that probiotics help speed recovery. We actually now give them routinely in the hospital for anybody who's admitted with vomiting and diarrhea. So there's definitely a role for probiotics. What it is not as clear. And the problem with probiotics, just like what we talked about with the supplements, is the quality. There is no regulation here, right? So they can slap a label on it and put it on the shelf, and here's your probiotic, and you have no idea. Does it survive stomach acid, right? Because it has to, because the bacteria live in our colon primarily, a little bit in our small intestine, but mostly in our colon. So the pill, the whatever it is, has to survive our stomach acid, it has to survive the bile in our small intestines, and then it has to get all the way to our large intestines to work. So have they done those studies? Or are they just putting it out there and saying good luck? You know, how much bacteria is actually in there? Do they do quality control? Is it multiple different species, or is it just one single species? There's a lot of factors that go into whether probiotics work or not, and none of that is regulated by the FDA in what you're buying over the counter. And I will say the best high quality products tend to be expensive. It can be as much as $1 a pill. And so again, kind of going back to the food, if instead you eat those high fiber foods, especially your ground vegetables, ground fruits that are close to the earth that can pick up some of those bacteria naturally, your yogurts, your fermented milk, that sort of stuff, you can get all that naturally if your kid will eat it. My kids won't eat yogurt. I don't know about anybody else, but my kids won't touch it unless I put way too much sugar in there. So we don't do that. But if you can get it naturally, it can be cheaper than buying the probiotic, but it can be difficult with kids.
And fermented,
like kefir, or kimchi, anything fermented is going to have bacteria in it. So not just fermented milk, fermented anything.
Yeah, but you're not going to get me to eat sauerkraut or kimchi.
No, and I get that, but you don't have to have all of it.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, pick the things that work best for you. So a fresh salad that's been washed. Let's try not to get listeria here, right? Some raw carrots, right? Because carrots are a ground vegetable. Some broccoli. You know, that'll do it. That'll do it, together with some yogurt, making sure the yogurt actually has culture in it, not.
A couple other things people never think of: sleep and stress.
Yes. Sleep is key, and especially, again, coming back to the immune system, our immune system is very tightly regulated by our sleep pattern. So most people, I think, have heard of a circadian rhythm, that our bodies have a clock. Our body is a clock, if you want to more think about it like that. But we also have clocks inside of our body that run different organs, and the immune system is run by one of those clocks. And how our immune system responds to an infection, to a pathogen, is very tightly regulated. And how our body deals with cleaning up the mess. So that how do you recover from that post-infectious, how do you recover from the infection? That's also your immune system. So during the day when we're out and about, our immune system is in a slightly more inflammatory state. It's a little more on, looking around, it's a little more on edge, which makes sense because during the day, you're more likely to get a cut on your arm. During the day, somebody's more likely to sneeze on you. So it makes sense that your immune system should be a little bit more up and ready. At night, while we're sleeping, our immune system is in more of a resting anti-inflammatory stage. And in fact, that's where the majority of cellular repair, post-infectious cleanup, that sort of stuff happens, is when we're sleeping. So if our sleep is very disrupted, if we don't have a good circadian rhythm, that balance between our inflammatory and anti-inflammatory immune system can be completely lost. Not that the immune system won't function, but it just won't function like clockwork, like it's supposed to. There's a rhythm to our immune system that it's supposed to go through with these day-night cycles. And if you don't have a good day-night cycle, then that's been lost, and you've lost some of that innate function that our immune system offers us. Stress can also alter our immune system, primarily due to stress hormones. So there are certain hormones that are released in our body at higher levels. Cortisol, I think, is probably the most famous of the stress hormones. And there are things that these hormones do that help us deal with stress, right? It heightens your awareness. It increases your basal metabolic rate so that you're a little bit better able to do things. You have some more mental clarity, that sort of thing. But the problem is cortisol is that hormone, because it's released in small amounts when we wake up in the morning, that flips our immune system into that more inflammatory state that we need during the day. But if you're under stress and you're releasing cortisol more constantly, not just in that morning, hello, wake up, get out of bed, that can really start to inflame your immune system more and more and more. And so it can just really disrupt its normal function and its ability to fight infection, because it's just that constant irritation to the immune system.
When we come back, the age-old humidifier. It may help prevent dry skin, but can it help prevent a cold? And is chicken soup really the best remedy for a cold? Chicken soup has long been the go-to food when we're sick, but the science behind whether it actually works is rather limited. However, the real remedy may be in the soup's ingredients that make us feel better. Typically, the soup contains carrots, which have vitamin A. That can help the immune system and the cells lining your GI tract. Onions and garlic both have antiviral and anti-inflammatory properties, and the water or broth may help with dehydration because bone broth can not only replace electrolytes, the sodium can help you retain water. So maybe Grandma was right. Eat your chicken soup when you're sick, just make sure it contains the right stuff, not just noodles. We're still dealing with the drier air, and chances are your skin is already flaking or cracking. But can a humidifier also help prevent colds? Our friends at Consumer Reports have some tips on what you need to know.
Humidifiers can't prevent colds and flu, but they can go a long way in helping your body fight off those nasty infections by keeping the air moist. In this climate-controlled chamber, Consumer Reports runs humidifiers overnight and tracks how many gallons of water each emits. Ideally, you want a relative humidity between 30 and 50% inside your home. After many hours of testing, CR recommends this Vicks for smaller rooms.
It's really important to keep your humidifier clean because you don't want a buildup of gunk inside that can spread microbes through the air and possibly get you sick.
To keep your humidifier fresh, always follow the manufacturer's instructions, which typically include daily and weekly maintenance. And if you have kids in the house, Consumer Reports has some advice.
In a nursery or a child's room, you want to make sure things are really safe. So Consumer Reports recommends that you get a cool mist humidifier. A warm mist humidifier, which heats water, has the potential to scald if there's an accident.
CR recommends this Honeywell, which is easy to clean and use. Bonus, no wick, cartridge, or filter needed to be replaced.
That'll do it for this week's Prescription for Life. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, I'm Monica Robbins, wishing you and yours good health.
Thank you so much for tuning into Health Yeah. Please find me on Twitter and Instagram at Monica Robbins. Like and follow my Facebook page, Monica Robbins WKYC. Find video podcasts at Monica Robbins channel on YouTube. And please subscribe. Wishing you great health and hope to see you again soon.
Thanks for listening to Health Yeah with Monica Robbins from WKYC Studios. Subscribe now so you never miss an update. And find more on everything you heard here on WKYC.com and on the WKYC app.